Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating journey. We're going to bridge the rich cultural heritage of Indian food and the history of our kitchens directly with the biological science of what food actually does once it's inside our bodies. Because, it's not just about what we eat, but exactly how and why we eat it.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the philosophy of mindful eating, map out regional diets, look at how our culinary practices have changed over time, and then we'll literally fuel up with carbs and fats before finally zooming in on proteins and essential nutrients. All right, Section 1, the wisdom of mindful eating, ancient philosophy for modern health. Let's kick things off by looking at how ancient wisdom perfectly sets the stage for our modern obsession with health. There's this brilliantly simple translated Sanskrit proverb that asks, "Who is healthy?" And the answer, one who eats food that is wholesome, in moderate quantities, and appropriate for the season, time, and place. When you pair that with another beautiful ancient saying, Enena Jatani Jivanti, which basically means food gives life to living beings, it really hits home. True health starts with the context of our food. That is literally the ultimate definition of mindfulness. Moving right along to Section 2, regional crops and cuisines, how geography shapes our plate. You see, mindful consumption isn't just some one-size-fits-all rule. It's deeply, deeply tied to the land and the local climate around us. The sheer diversity of traditional Indian diets is just incredible. Think about Punjab's famous makki di roti, or Manipur's unique aromba chutney. These aren't random choices. They are a direct, logical response to local soil types and weather. Up in Punjab, maize and wheat absolutely thrive. But head down south to Karnataka, and rice and ragi are the stars, giving us staples like idli and ragi mude. Honestly, what ends up on our plate is practically dictated by the very earth beneath our feet. Which brings us to Section 3, changing culinary practices, the evolution of the kitchen. Okay, so while our diets are rooted in geography, the actual ways we prepare this food, well, they've completely transformed. Think about the stark contrast in how we cook now versus the past. We used to have the traditional wood-fired chula, which was literally the beating heart of the kitchen, demanding constant attention, right? Compare that to the modern gas stove that most of us just effortlessly flick on today. That single technological leap completely changed our daily relationship with cooking. And this evolution doesn't stop at the stove. Think about the intense physical labor required to use a traditional Silbata stone grinder. Today, we've replaced all that elbow grease with the simple push of a button on an electric grinder. Thanks to rapid tech development, better transport, and communication, we've basically traded hours of intense physical prep work for pure, rapid convenience. Let's shift gears a bit. Section 4, fueling up, carbs and fats, the biology of energy. Now that we've prepped our food and traced its origins, let's zoom way inside the human body and talk about the science of macronutrients. Have you ever skipped a meal and just felt entirely drained? Well, here's why. Carbohydrates, which are packed into wheat, rice, potatoes, bananas, and even basic sugar, are our primary go-to energy foods. They give us instant cellular fuel. That's exactly why marathon runners rely on glucose water mid-race. They need that immediate, essential boost just to keep their bodies moving. Fats, on the other hand, play a totally different game. Rich sources like oils, nuts, and ghee act as our body's long-term backup battery. They are stored energy. This perfectly explains why traditional winter treats, like lattos, are intentionally loaded with ghee and nuts. It's a super mindful choice, specifically designed to give us that dense, stored energy we desperately need to stay warm when the temperature drops. And if you want to see the absolute power of stored fat in action, just think about the polar bear. I mean, this animal is a biological masterclass in stored energy. It builds up this massive, thick layer of fat just to power its body through a brutal, months-long winter hibernation. It survives all those freezing months without taking a single bite of food. It just purely burns through its fat reserves. It's wild. All right, on to our final section. Section 5, proteins and essential nutrients, building and protecting the body. So while carbs and fats are busy fueling us, our bodies also desperately need structural building blocks. We need protective elements to actually survive. And that brings us to proteins. These are our body-building foods, absolutely essential for physical growth and repairing our muscles and tissues. And the cool part is, we can source them beautifully from the earth via plants, like pulses, peas, and beans, or equally well from animals, through things like milk, paneer, eggs, and fish. It's exactly why you see athletes making protein the absolute center of their diets. But health isn't always just about those big macronutrients. Sometimes it all comes down to invisible trace elements. Take this mind-blowing case from the 1960s. Indian scientists were suddenly faced with a massive medical mystery. There was this widespread outbreak of a condition causing severe swelling at the front of the neck, a disease known as goiter, and it was heavily, almost exclusively, concentrated in the Himalayan region and the northern plains. Now, the way they solved this is just brilliant. They traced the root cause all the way back to the geography itself. It turned out the soil in those specific areas was completely depleted of the mineral iodine. And because the soil lacked it, the local food and water lacked it too. So to fix this massive public health crisis, the government engineered a remarkably simple nationwide solution. They mandated that common kitchen salt be supplemented with iodine. Think about that. A single pinch of iodized salt solved an entire regional deficiency. So, as we wrap up this explainer and look back at the deep, intricate connections between the geographic soil that grows our food, the evolving tools in our kitchens, and the precise biological needs of our very cells, I want to leave you with a vital question to ponder before your very next meal. Based on your region's local crops and your body's specific energy and building needs, are you truly eating mindfully? Understanding this incredible journey from plate to body really is the key to unlocking your health. Keep learning and keep eating mindfully.